This week on our weekly interlude with Seattle Chamber Music Society, we're pleased to be joined by principal cellist of the Antwerp Symphony Orchestra, as well as a co-director of several festivals, as well as a longtime attendee here at Seattle Chamber Music Society, cellist Raphael Bell. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's really nice to be with you.
Yeah. So where are you calling home right now?
We are in France, in Montigny-sur-Loire. It's about an hour south of Paris. Aki's family have a country place here where we organize concerts in a little barn, and it's very nice. And the moment they started talking about closing borders and when the sort of quarantine started, we fled the city to come here because there's just more space for Tomo to run around and not be so aware of the confinement.
Changes to the daily life, and everybody there with you is healthy and staying well, I hope.
Yes, the first days we were really being, first 2 weeks we were really very, very careful and tried to be separate because their grandparents here, and so yeah, we were, and I'm the only one who leaves to go do grocery shopping and things like that. But everything so far, everyone is fine. My parents are also in Rome. They decided to spend the last year in Rome to be closer to their two grandchildren and their two children who were both living in Europe. And then they got stuck with this. I mean, Rome has always been their city. They've been going there since the 60s. My father's an archaeologist. And yeah, so they've been kind of celebrating the last couple of days because finally they could go out and ride their bicycles and go a little bit farther afield from their apartment.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I know certain parts of Italy were hard hit, especially in the north. It sounds like Belgium, where you typically spend your time, was pretty hard hit as well. Hopefully, as well, your musical family there in Belgium. In Antwerp specifically is staying pretty healthy as well.
Everyone we know is fine so far. I mean, it sounds like more people might have had it than we maybe know because, we just don't know. I mean, it was a little scary for us at first because we had a concert, both Aki and I were playing in Italy, in Ferrara, towards the end of February. And just before, like a day before, they started talking about what was going on in Lombardy. And so then we were quite concerned for a little while, and then afterwards Aki got a bit sick, and we wanted to get tested in Belgium, but they said no. I mean, they said that at that point the only way you could get tested was if you were so sick you would have to be admitted to the hospital. So then, yeah, we didn't know what to do. So
I'm curious, as an artistic director of several different festivals, how are you thinking about and preparing and adjusting, knowing the group gatherings seem to be sort of one of the last things that are going to reopen for us?
Right. Well, we've been talking with Charlottesville, my festival in my hometown in Charlottesville, Virginia. We've been having Zoom meetings like this to try to figure out, what we should do if we need to cancel or not, or if it would be possible to do something smaller. At the moment, we don't both, my co-director and I live in Europe. So, we don't really know if we come back to America, are we going to be quarantined for 2 weeks before we can do anything? Or will those, controls be loosened a little bit? So yeah, we sort of decided to wait until the beginning of June because we feel like every 2 weeks it's a not a new reality, but we understand more and we can understand more if something might be possible, because of course we want to bring something to the people there if we can, and how, but it just, when you feel like you're an arts organization, you want to try to bring something to for people, for our inner lives, for our spiritual lives, to experience something together. Music is like, live music is something that we share on stage. It's like a kind of commune, I don't know, what's shared, and then together with the audience. And I feel like, as a person who's partly responsible for a festival, that we want to do something if we can. We just don't know yet. And here in France, we're also asking ourselves that question and wondering if we could do something outdoors. And there's a balcony here and a big yard. And so we were thinking, oh, well, maybe we could invite people to come with, picnic blankets and
play some apart and listen to some
play
music.
some duos and, solo pieces and duos from a balcony or something. I mean,
what does a typical day look like right now for you? Are you still rehearsing or practicing? Are you preparing new material? Or are you revisiting things that you might not have gotten a chance to play for a while?
Well, we're trying to play every day with a 3-year-old at home. I mean, you'd think that we have a lot of time. We're here in the countryside, but taking care of him and making sure he's having, he's doing things and having a good time. There's not that much time that we have for ourselves each day, and the days kind of fly by. So we grew a vegetable garden. The local nursery has been open. So, and if you buy kind of edible, if you buy parsley or something that you can eat, you could go there and they let a few people in at a time. So we bought lots of seeds and planted tomatoes and strawberries and squash and things like that. So that's been fun to sort of, and for Tomo also to sort of take part in and cleaning the garden and watering the garden. That's been fun.
Nice.
There's a horse down the lane, so we go and give the horse an apple every day, and there are chickens and things like that. It's the countryside, so it's kind of actually it's been amazing to be in the countryside. We come here often, but usually just for 3 days or 4 days. Or in the summer, we teach an academy here, but we're always so busy that we haven't really been able to engage with country life. And actually, having the time, having just to witness spring has been amazing. And
that's great. Yeah,
so,
it sounds like a chance to kind of slow down. And I know so many musicians are so busy traveling so often. What has it been like to have sort of this time without having quite so many distractions, if you will?
It's been great. It's been fun. I feel lucky to have the repertoire that we have for cello compared to some. I've talked to some friends who, some wind players who struggle a little bit more to know what to practice. I think they're used to practicing their orchestra pieces for what comes next. And for us, just even the Bach suites, we don't in our lives as playing an orchestra and playing chamber music, we don't necessarily get to spend as much time with them as we might. And so it's been really amazing to just go back and play the suites and to spend time working on them. I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw there was a recording from, I think it was early April, that you had done a recording, the prelude and one of the first movements there. Have you been doing a lot of recording at this point, or filming? Or?
Well, in the first weeks of the quarantine, I was practicing the first suite a bunch, and then a couple of times I tried to run it, and one time my phone rang, so it got interrupted. And when because I don't have that much time, it's like I try to squeeze in if he's sleeping or if he's before dinner. And so that time I felt like, oh, it's going well. I'm gonna run the suite, and then Tomo ran in and told me it was dinner time.
A very cute distraction.
That was it. And then I thought I would get back to recording the first suite, but it hasn't happened yet. So because for me to get in where I actually want to sit, I would love to sit down and be able to play through it, but I need I need to be in that world deeply for a few days, and then to play through, just to really, really find yourself where you can be absolutely as inventive and as sensitive to the harmony and to the story of the pieces and the dances. So it takes me a little while to go into the place where I feel completely free, So I hope that maybe one of these days we'll go back there, but it's been, the last couple of weeks have been gardening and a little bit in the canoe and
sounds like enjoying the springtime activities.
yeah.
During this time, have you, dove into, the bookshelf pile up, or are there things that you're binge watching, or, the other kind of activities or hobbies to get you through the day at the moment?
Yeah, we have, we have Netflix like everyone, but I must say, actually, we haven't watched it at all. We get up, Tomo does watch a little bit of, there's a little Czech cartoon, the little mole, it's called we call it Petit Taupe, which is very delightful I think it's maybe from the 60s. There are no words, and there's really nice music, and it's very simple. And so he watches that sometimes, but yeah, we haven't, sometimes we feel like at the end of the day, we would like to sort of lie down and watch a nice series, but we're exhausted.
Yeah.
So, we read, one ends up reading the newspaper and trying to follow what's going on. So I read that. And then, yeah, I'm reading a book called Shantaram, which I had not heard of, but a friend of mine gave it to me. It takes place in Bombay, and it's fascinating. It's really good.
Great. Yeah. It's, fun to get to explore something you might not have the time to do otherwise. One thing that whenever you've been here and, watching the video with the Bach, the Pergolesi, I feel like your instrument has a particularly beautiful timbre and tone, but it's also a very beautiful, just from a visual standpoint, the varnish, the coloring of the instrument, such a wonderful instrument. Could you tell us a little bit about your cello?
My cello was made in 1710, I think. There's no tag on the inside. It's made by a person called Carlo Giuseppe Testori. And I must say, in Seattle, I often play with Ed Aaron, and he has a beautiful Grancino. And we imagine that those two makers work together in the same shop. So we often we wonder if the cellos played together, centuries ago. But I love my cello. It's kind of dark and mysterious, and it takes a long time to find an instrument. I looked for many years, and then I was doing a favor for a friend, taking his cello to London to be appraised, and I just asked them. I had a Eurostar later that afternoon. I said, but maybe you would have something I could try, and they showed me that, and I loved it, and they let me take it. They let me leave the country an hour later, and yeah. So I love my cello. It's
it's great. It is interesting how closely yours and, as you say, Ed's cellos, appear on stage. Just the similar kind of coloring and wood grains and things of that nature. So
yeah, for us, it comes from both. The instruments match very beautifully. His is really maybe in a way a more beautiful instrument. Testori was famous maybe for making his instruments a little faster. They're a little rougher around the edges, but musicians love them because they sound great. Especially cellists and bassists and violists also. He's more famous for lower strings. But Ed and I also studied with the same teacher, Juilliard, with Harvey Shapiro, who gave us a certain culture of sound that we love and that we look for. And so whenever we sit down to play together, it feels like coming home. And then it's it always feels great.
That's great. Well, we're very hopeful that we'll get to have you with us this summer. I know we'll also very much look forward to when you are able to come back and join us here in Seattle, and we can have some live music again.
Yeah, we can't wait. Also with Aki and Tomo, we all love coming out to Seattle. We love Seattle so much, and it's I've been coming for a few years now, and it's such a treat to all the friends you make. Everyone around the festival is so nice. And the city's so full of just openness and a great energy. So I can't wait to come back and